Next, I'd like to invite Chief Judge Rosenthal and former Chief Judge Hinojosa and former Chief Judge Head to present a Lifetime Achievement Award to David Bradley.
Thank you very much, Kate. I'm going to lead off and then turn it over to my wonderful colleagues. And we are all three of us presenting this award on behalf of former Chief Judge George Kazin, who could not join us tonight, but he is very much here in spirit. All of the chief judges who are here in the Southern District wanted to be part of honoring our Clerk of Court, David Bradley. And I cannot tell you how difficult this is for me to do, because this is honoring David in recognition of the fact that he has finally managed to figure out how to retire. This is a man who sucks at retirement. Thank goodness. We are so grateful. David Bradley was appointed on December 6, 1982, as a bankruptcy estate administrator in our court. Before that, he had already given public service in the form of serving in the Army for over 7 years. David is a veteran of the Vietnam War. Happy Veterans Day, David, where he obtained the rank of captain. The only other person that he has served longer and with greater dedication than us is Judy, to whom he's been married for, ready, 52 years. Congratulations to you both. They have 2 sons, both married, 4 grandchildren. David is a lawyer who has devoted his life in the law to our lives in the law. He became chief deputy for the bankruptcy court, kept that position after we became one of the very few district courts in the country to consolidate the bankruptcy and district court clerk's offices. Lawyers may not think this sounds like a big deal. Let me assure you, this is huge. This is the equivalent of world peace within the federal judiciary. We could not have done it without David Bradley. We are a light among the nations in the example of efficient, fiscally wise, and prudent court management. And we achieve that every year. We give money back to Washington. Maybe I shouldn't say that. We do, to the general fisc, because David Bradley, with the help of his great office and his chief deputy, let us be that efficient and effective. David was ready to retire several times. He, in fact, had his letter of retirement typed up several times. David was ready to retire 10 years ago, when our previous clerk of court unexpectedly announced that he was moving to Washington, D.C. David could have retired. He was ready. He had 28 years of service, not counting his military time. He stayed because we needed him. And he was willing to give us that time. Fast forward 10 years. Repeat. It's deja vu all over again. David is ready to retire. He had his letter written. But it's March 2020. And we all know what happened in March 2020. And David, I want to thank you personally. You stayed, and we continued to work together closely, honestly, in good faith, with goodwill. And we have done work together that I could not have done without you. On behalf of myself and our entire court, I thank you. We know that you're going to have a chance to respond, but not yet. Before then, I'm going to invite Judge Head and Judge Hinojosa to add to the comments. I'm going to make a few more comments, and I am going to read for all to hear the plaque that you will be getting that is signed by every one of the judges, and that we hope you will hang on an appropriate wall and look at it every day. We will remember you, and we want you to remember us. Judge Hinojosa?
Thank you, Judge Rosenthal. You couldn't have put it better than any of the rest of us could. I do want to say something to David about his work. This court could not have operated the way it has operated, and with the efficiency and the good management of taxpayer money, were it not for David Bradley. And you touched on that with regards to the bankruptcy court, and that is so important. Most people are unaware of the fact of how big this district is. We have 7 places of holding court. Houston is one of them, McAllen is another one, and then we have 5 others. Different personalities in each court, and different kinds of dockets on each court. And every single one of the divisions is extremely busy. And it would be really easy for somebody to think, oh, the head clerk is in Houston, maybe you don't get paid attention in the other divisions. And the answer is no. With David Bradley, we have never felt anything but that we were treated in McAllen the same way as he's treating everybody in Houston. And I'm sure that's true of every single other division. That is also amazing with regards to the court system and how it operates in the 90-some district courts in the United States. David is a special personality. My job as chief judge actually was pretty easy when David Bradley was the district clerk, because he is the one that tells us exactly how things are working, what needs to be paid attention to. And not only that, he has great suggestions as to how to handle each one of the problems. And for that, I thank him extremely. His service in the military is something that he and I've always complimented him on. Having lost a brother in Vietnam, I've always admired David for his service. And Judy, thank you so much. You've shared him with us and we appreciate it. And probably he has stayed at the office longer hours than you would have preferred. So we thank you very much for your service also. David, I'm going to miss you a lot, but I love the phone, so I will be calling you quite a bit, I'm sure. We wish you the best, and thank you so much for making what we do possible.
Judge Head.
I would like to join all of your comments. Good evening, Judge Rosenthal and Judge Hinojosa. You know, we talk about our distance from Houston, but if you look at it from David's perspective, for a long time, it was David's distance from 3 chief judges. George Kazin was in Laredo, and then next it was myself in Corpus Christi, and then it was Judge Hinojosa in Houston. So for about a period of 20 years, David's chief was far, the closest one being 140 miles away, and that was myself, or rather 200 miles away, and that was myself. So David had to put on not only his clerk's robe, but his Uber robe, because he took on a real job in trying to stay in contact with us. And I can remember the early days of the court when we were trying to go to automation, the staff that he was able to acquire, the staff that he was able to help put us together. And were it not for them, I wouldn't be joining you tonight. And I didn't join the group until about 5 minutes ago because I didn't have the right equipment and the right information. But Judge David's staff's got it right together. Chief judges have personnel problems. We have money problems. We have inadequate problems with respect to judicial services. For example, we don't have enough magistrates somewhere one year or too many the next, and we can't move them around. it's very difficult to be a chief judge. And were it not for David, Ricardo's right. I don't know how you could do this job. So whoever follows David is going to have a very, very difficult job that I don't know how David has mastered so masterfully, but he has done a great job. So, David, I want to thank you for all the time you spent with me and doing all the things that you needed to do and getting all the new courts together, the new courthouses together. So, thank you very much, and I hope to see you soon.
You know,
Thank
all
you.
of us have said that we don't know how David does it. And I do know one way David does it. Every day at noon, high noon, no matter what the weather, David runs 6 miles at least. And it's not slow. David, we must have a lot of stress to require you to do that every day just to keep calm. But you do a wonderful job, and we are grateful. We do want you to keep on running, but please, Judy, when it hits 100, see if you can just take a day off. David, I want to read to you the plaque that will be presented in real time, not merely by Zoom. And I want everybody to hear what your colleagues, what the judges, each of whom you have served, has to say about you. The David J. Bradley Award for Service to the United States Court of the Southern District of Texas, given in recognition of and with gratitude for all you have done for our court. You have given us 38 years of service. As our clerk of court, you have guided us through many a crisis, including sequestration, Hurricane Katrina, Hurricane Ike, immigration zero tolerance, Hurricane Harvey, and the pandemic. You have made our courts and the third branch itself stronger and better. You care about every judge and every employee. Your loyalty, honesty, discipline, and compassion have served us all well. You have had the courage to tell us when we were wrong and the grace to tell us when we are doing well. We will sorely miss your knowledge, judgment, experience, and advice. Above all, we will miss your dedication to all of us and to the values we all serve. You set a high standard for us all. For that and for all you have done, David Bradley, we thank you. Zoom applause is hard. David, the floor is briefly yours.
Briefly, and thank you very much. I'm so honored and humbled by all of this. Chief Judges Rosenthal, Hinojosa, Head, and Kazin. It was my great honor and privilege to work with each of you during your chief judgeships. Let me introduce my wife, Judy, truly my right-hand person. For 52 years, I hope to put up with me for a few more. I've been the beneficiary of the wisdom and leadership of not only these 4 chief judges here tonight, but of our deceased former chief judges, Norman Black, James DeAnda, and John V. Singleton. And because of the unique structure of the clerk's office, where the district clerk serves also as the bankruptcy court clerk, I've been the beneficiary of the wisdom and leadership of the bankruptcy court chief judges, with the current chief judge, David Jones, and before that, Marvin Isker, Wesley Steen, Karen Brown, Letitia Paul, Richard Schmidt, Bill Greendyke, Randy Wheelis, Phil Payton, and E.H. Patton. On top of that, because of their residence in Houston, I've also benefited from working with Fifth Circuit Chief Judges Carolyn Deneen King and Edith Jones. Two former clerks of this district were great mentors. Jesse Clark, who passed away way too early with leukemia, and then Michael Milby, who now serves at the administrative office and is the chief financial officer for the federal courts. I appreciate the support of the clerk's office receives from all 49 district, bankruptcy, and magistrate judges. I heavily rely on the steadfast support of the best chief deputy in the federal court system, Nathan Ochsner, who's been my partner for the last 10 years. Also, the 220 other deputy clerks throughout the district who daily perform their duties with purpose, professionalism, and dedication. I also appreciate the support of the bar, the U.S. Attorney Ryan Patrick, Federal Public Defender Margie Myers, U.S. Marshal T. Michael O'Connor, U.S. Chief Probation Officer Teresa Brewer, and U.S. Trustee Henry Hobbs, and their collegiality in working with the court towards the common goal of upholding the Constitution and the laws of the United States. Thank you to my family for their support, Judy, my two sons, Michael and Travis, and their lovely wives, who blessed me with 4 wonderful and beautiful grandkids. Thank you for this wonderful recognition. Thank you for the great opportunity to serve the United States and this honorable court for the last 38 years. And thanks for the memories.
We love you, David. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, David.
I am in awe of the 6 miles a day. And listening to all of this reminds me of being a law clerk. You know, before you start clerking, you think about your judge and what clerking is going to be like. And that's a tremendous experience. But what you learn in the courthouse is it really is a family. And in the case of the Southern District, a very well-run, efficient family. So thank you so much for your service.
Kate, I won't be telling a story on you when I remember that when you showed up to interview, you were fresh off of some cruise and you showed up in a sundress and flip-flops. And I hired you on the spot.
Which I truly appreciate, Judge. Thank you.